And hello, everybody. Welcome to WD Carousel of Podcast. My name is Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And I feel like I'm so much louder this week. I don't know.
Well, that's kind of exciting.
That's something that you will definitely be editing in.
Oh, yes.
You know, the back sheop.
Well, I have some theories, but we'll move on.
Is it because I'm eating the mic? Maybe.
It's good. Like that's absolutely the right way to do it. But I think that you hadn't been, so I'm all recalibrated. It's fine. Like
okay.
You're not clipping or anything, so we're all good.
That's good.
Hey guys, it's been a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it has been a couple of weeks. We had our 4th of July staycation of whatever. Yes. Basically, it was just me watching Hamilton nonstop. So if y'all haven't seen Hamilton, by the way, it's on Disney Plus. Take the time to do it.
You really should owe it to yourself. It's super good.
We were going to do a whole episode about it, but there's nothing else to say other than it's good. Just take your time and watch it. So there's your review. Watch it.
Go watch it. That's all there is to say.
But we are going to be covering more up-to-date news sort of situation things today in preparation for the parks to be opening the day that this airs. So as of this morning, at the time of release, Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom will be opening back up to park guests.
Yes.
I feel like it's way too early.
Yeah, and the problem is it's like everything's an experiment at this point because like no one knows for sure like how well different things are going to work, but
I mean, they have a little bit of experience, or they can learn from the other theme parks that have been open for almost a month at this point. Universal, SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, all of those bad boys have been open for about a month to get the kinks out. And Disney was able to learn from them a bit on areas they could do better.
Yeah, improve. I'm wondering what one of Disney's international parks is open. Which one is it?
Tokyo, I know is.
Is it Tokyo? Tokyo is.
Yeah. I think Shanghai might be as well.
Okay. I should have checked that, but I didn't.
Yeah. We're focusing on, the domestic parks. Also, Disneyland was supposed to be opening on the 17th for their 65th anniversary, and the California governor put the kibosh on that, which I am actually very happy about.
Yeah. It's both sad, but like not in like a mad way. It's just like that's just how it has to be.
It's even smaller park. I mean,
you couldn't do it.
No, you can't expect how many people are going to want to be there for an anniversary to show up and be in Disneyland with the smaller everything. I mean, I love how quaint and intimate Disneyland is, but in COVID times, that is not the kind of friendly that I want to have for strangers.
Yeah. No, I definitely get that. It's not, and you've been there, so you actually know the sizing. But like I'm a little nervous even about Walt Disney World, which is a sprawling property.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine like when it's this little tiny corner of Anaheim. Like no.
So we're going to be giving you updates as far as what to expect when you're going back to the Walt Disney World parks. So officially, Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom open up on the 11th. This is our air date, as well as the Hollywood Studios and Epcot. Why did I forget that? Holy buckets. Are opening on the 15th, which is Wednesday. So they have a couple more days before they open up those other two.
Yes. But as of today, they've been doing cast and preview stuff for pass holders.
Cast member preview and annual pass holder previews, which my phone has been sending me regular notifications about, being like, hey, you can come on down here and take a look. And I'm like, I'm in Minnesota and you're not going to get me on a plane.
No, that's just it. It's like that's kind of
I trust the Disney bubble.
Battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Not a plane.
No.
And I'm not going to drive all the way from Minnesota to go live in Florida at this time, which is one of the worst, if not the worst state for, cases right now of COVID. Yeah. So no, thank you. I trust Disney. Once you get onto Disney property, the Disney bubble, I would be confident being there, but it is the thousands of miles in between that I am not comfortable with. But
yes.
Let's talk about happier things. Park is going to be open today. So if you want to get into a park, first thing you have to do is have a reservation. This is something that is new. It's not anything that they've had to deal with before. And there are 3 different levels of reservations. So the annual pass holder reservation. So everybody like myself who has basically the unlimited pass, you can show up. Right. You still have to have a reservation. And that's just to make sure that capacity at the parks are being handled. Along with that, they have the level where you have the park ticket as well as a resort stay on property. Sure. Those guys have their own little bucket of daily tickets admission thing, and then finally the daily park tickets where you are not required to stay on property. They have their own little bucket of access to get through.
So they have kind of a maximum number of people per park, but then they have kind of broken it down into categories, and they've kind of created separate pools for each of these different groups.
Correct. And the AP annual pass holder group is basically booked up. And the other 2 have options. And so we're hoping, and we've been seeing a little bit more flexibility to even out the buckets a little bit more.
Yeah.
But if you don't get it right away, I would just like a fast pass, just keep looking, seeing if you can get into the parks. Along with that, though, due to capacity reasons, there's no park hopping. So you get 1 park a day maximum.
Yep. You just like, if you had a park hopper, it is no longer a park hopper.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works.
The annual pass holders, I get 1 park a day. And even with the annual pass holders, I'm only allowed to make 3 reservations unless I have a resort stay booked at the same time. And then I can book through the resort stay, but I'm not able to book the 3 floating and the resort book stays. So it is one or the other.
Gotcha. Okay.
Little
interesting. So that's the first change.
First hurdle.
The first hurdle, first thing you will notice. And then the next thing too is, like, once you've gotten to the park, you've got your reservation, you've got your park ticket, you're there, however you made it there. If you are over 2 years old, you are required to have a cloth face covering.
Yep, you need to have a face mask. And they're not accepting gaiters either. So the ones that cover the neck too, kind of like, scarves. They don't accept those.
It has to be an actual fitting mask, cloth mask situation, which I'm sure you can get some lovely Mickey merchandise with. That's masks as well.
They have them in small, medium, large, and now extra large, because even the large ones didn't fit adult ears. So,
oh my god,
what
were they doing?
One guy I saw had put an elastic, tied an elastic to the back, and was just flopping that over his head, so the ears part wasn't actually around the ears because it couldn't get there.
Oh my god, that's funny.
But he wanted to wear the Disney mask because he wanted to have Goofy's smirk.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's kind of cool. If you're gonna do it, you got to lean into it to a certain degree. It's like, I'm gonna go to Disney during a global pandemic. I might as well go all in with my personal protective gear,
and there
right?
are Etsy groups out there right now that have matching masks and ear sets. So if you want to just coordinate, you definitely can.
That's funny.
But yes, masks are expected on property everywhere. And that is including at the resorts, on transportation, at the parks. The only times you do not have to wear a mask is if you are in a pool, inside the pool decking, you still have to wear your mask.
Still have to wear it.
And there are some max relaxation stations.
Which I guess you have a limited amount of time that you can. So it's kind of like a smoke break area, except you get to go out there in really, really small groups and take your mask off to breathe a little bit.
So like Tomorrowland Terrace, the dining area that nobody remembers, but it cuts over to the purple wall that everybody knows. That's going to be a relaxation station for your mask, so you can hang out there. But that's the only place that you're not allowed to wear a mask, or that you're allowed to not wear a mask.
Yeah, you're not wear a mask. Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
We'll get the verbiage eventually.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Along with that, though, there's going to be new security checks. Have you heard how they're doing the The new scanning systems now?
Yeah. I was
so neat.
I didn't have enough time to dig as much as I would like, but it looks like it's similar to the millimeter wave system that they use when you go through, like, I know they have it for sure at TSA in Minneapolis, where you stand in the thing and it goes whoop, and like it like rotates this thing around you. That's like the millimeter wave detection.
It's actually faster than that.
I think it's a similar principle, but you just walk through it like you're walking out of a store. Like, it looks like you're walking through like the scanner out of a store, and it's able to do essentially the same thing, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah, they have them currently set up at Disney Springs. So along with the temperature checks, which are touchless, so it's just a little handheld gun they point at your forehead, which sounds really atrocious. But anyways, we're moving on. You're also going to walk through these scanners, and it is there to stop the baggage checks so they don't have to touch every single person's items every single time. And they will have you temporarily right now, as they're working through the new scanning system, take out any metal in your pockets and put it into a clear plastic bag. You're not going to have that little tub that you have to push through anymore. But yeah, you just walk through and just whoop, and it should be able to tell if it's something that could be
dangerous.
So
a weapon or something.
That should make the entrance lines a lot faster than the old baggage check.
That.
I know, me too.
I hope that innovation stays.
That would be lovely.
And on top of that, so as you get through that and you go to actually enter the park, you do not have to do the biometrics that they used to do for your that's locked to your pass. Right. They basically are just going to bypass that, which that makes sense.
I'm wondering if they're going to move to a Disneyland style where they actually have a photo. They take a photo of you the first time that you use your pass. And it doesn't matter if it's like a day pass, a 3-day pass, an annual pass. They will take a photo of you. That way, when you scan your pass, your little picture pops up and they'll be like, yep, that's the person. That makes more sense than the fingerprint.
It does. I mean, like, I just like, even with like your phone, like, I know with my phone I've got like Face ID, right? You don't touch the phone and it's able to verify you pretty accurately. Like, why even bother to have somebody touch something if this technology is already out there?
And unlike our phones where you could just hold up a picture of me in front of my camera, it's not like I'm going to hold a picture of you in front of my face as I'm walking through security for Disney.
Well, and in fact, the
totally
system,
Ian.
Yes, no one's going to even bat an eye. I'm sure it's fine. No, and in fact, actually, I believe the way it works with my phone, I think it actually uses depth. So it actually uses a depth sensor too. And so again, your point is still taken. Like, everyone's gonna be like, excuse me.
Okay. Let's just go through some more no's. I'm going to jump down a little bit on our bullet points, Ian.
Okay.
Just to make you aware. Let's get to the transportation, because transportation is one of the big things that we're still working on trying to get you into the park. And buses are open currently. And right now they do have the seats numbered, and they do have plastic dividers up. So only certain areas will have certain families. You get a number, you sit all there together, and then you don't have to worry about it. As well as the bus driver actually exits the bus when they park to come up, and they are out of the bus for 4 minutes to allow the masses to figure out their life before they come back in, and then
pretty funny off. Honestly.
Yeah, I'm like, was that supposed to be for like cleansing purposes? And they're like, no, they just don't want to have the bus driver exposed to everybody that's walking onto the bus.
Kind of makes sense. As a bus driver, like, I would definitely like would have had my hand up, like, okay, so question.
And front and back door entrance.
Oh, sure. Okay. So depending on where you get in.
Yep. So it's not just everybody entering and exiting through that front door. You can use both doors to be able to get on and off the bus. If you're in
the numbers in the back of the bus, you don't even have to worry about trying to slide through the front, because that doesn't even make any sense. Yeah.
Yep. Monorail and ferry opened up on the 7th. So a few days ago, and I have seen video of both. So with the monorail, when you come up, first off, there's the spacing to get up the ramps, but then they give you a number, and that tells you what car to go to. And you know how the monorail normally has like 2 doors, and there's like the middle seat with 2 benches facing each direction. They have a barrier. They have a little plastic barrier that they have put there to, protect both sides. And so you'll be given a number. and you'll go to that number and you'll go into that car, and it's normally one family per, unless, you know, you're individuals. And then you'll be like, I'll be in this corner, and then you would be in that corner all the way over there.
And just stay facing the wall.
Yep. Just turn around, breathe into the wall. I don't know. But
right.
That's the setup that they currently have for the monorail. And the monorail is only moving right now from the TTC and the resorts. So it's not right now going to Epcot because Epcot's closed. I will see that probably opening up when Epcot opens up. And then the ferries right now, the ferry boats to get you to and from the TTC to the Magic Kingdom, they will not let you sit on the benches, and that's their spacing. So you'll basically have to kind of do your own self-monitoring, but if you're not sitting on the benches, they're, you know, back to back, so there's that spacing of a few feet in between, and then you're standing, and they're hoping that that's going to be enough, but just be smart about it.
Yeah, that sounds like some of that transportation stuff sounds hard. Like and it sounds like the Skyliner will be the same, right? Where you have,
well, the Skyliner is really easy because you can just kind of put one family per
and just send them off in little, like, it's like, this is my social unit. Okay, go. Like, this is who I'm with, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That one should be really easy. And that one's actually opening up on the 15th. So the same, around the same time that Epcot and Hollywood Studios are opening. So that way you can have the transport to both of those.
Nice.
But that's transportation right now. The Friendship boat's going to the Disney Springs, and local resorts are still not up and running. But obviously any of this can be changed at any time.
Anytime, because it's Disney. They do that
when we thought we were going to record versus when we're recording now. There have already been some changes. So
Right. It's just absolutely crazy land. And, you know, like, Disney makes changes on the fly anyway, but, like, throw a global pandemic in there and their pivots come fast and loose.
It's just a little just a little guy. It's just a little
guy.
Just a little guy. No fast passes. So you don't have to worry when you're planning to create fast passes because the park capacity is going to be so low. I've been seeing a lot of 5-minute waits at maximum. Like, Flight of Passage, I've never seen a 5-minute wait before.
Oh my god. God, maybe I will go in November. Just
I know,
alone.
Right? Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. It's a walk-on.
God, I could just hit a couple of rides and just just have like misting sanitizer with me wherever I go.
Just bring Lysol. Anybody looks at you, just spray them in the face.
Spray them. Yeah, a super soaker full of Purell. It'll be great.
Change all of the misters that are in the parks because it's hot.
Yes. Put in a one-step sanitizer in with the water. It'll be perfect. No one will have any complaints about that.
Everybody just has to walk through it. It's fine. Yeah, your lungs are fine. It's okay.
Oh my god.
Also, there's no fireworks and there's no scheduled parades. Yeah. Now, I did see that they've been adding a lot more car cavalcades and the dance party kind of things, but they'll have like one parade float come out at a time, just randomly.
Yeah.
So, like, the Tinkerbell float with her being on top of the pile of treasure on her treasure chest will just pop out, and she'll have, you know, people walking around her that are monitoring, but it's not announced. It's not anything. She's just waving, going down the parade route, waving.
It kind of reminds me of the what they've been doing in Galaxy's Edge, where the characters are pretty much unannounced, and they've got their attendants that are like nearby if they need it or whatever, but it's more,
but they're not
super
on the ground.
Impromptu.
People can
on the ground, and they basically are doing that, but they're keeping a separation between any guests because you're not allowed.
You'll see a lot more characters actually being out, but they're in inaccessible areas. So on, balconies. So like the Country Bears are hanging out on their balcony of their stage show area. Right. There's been, the Fab Five that have been on the train station on the second floor, waving to people as they enter and exit. Right. I've seen like Captain Jack be on the back of his stage across from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Fun.
So he can, verbally interact, but you're not going to be able to hug. You're not going to be able to have, the face-to-face like interactions that we're familiar with. So obviously the Princess Castle is currently closed for meet and greets, town hall, all that stuff.
Right. So it's just all you can see them, but no real interacting. And I believe that's even true with dining, though I think we'll get there. But it sounds like with dining, you're not allowed to touch, you're not allowed to like interact with them either. They kind of, it's more of a presentational
right now,
kind
I
of
know
operation.
of 3 restaurants that are character dining. There is the new one in Riviera, which I am forgetting the name of. There is Garden Grill will be opening with Epcot. So that one is going to have the character dining, but you can't do any sort of hugging, photo ops. It's going to be, separated interactions. And there is a rumor of Chef Mickey's, but we haven't actually seen characters pop back up there.
Okay. And also shopping, unsurprising, will be limited in capacity of who's able to get in and stuff like that. And so you cannot use any shops as shortcuts through Main Street. You can't do any of that stuff.
Any of the main ones. Now, that rule changed a bit when I actually saw
of course it did.
The cast previews and the AP previews, because with another announcement that we are going to, we might as well just jump into it. Splash Mountain is changing.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. It was already in a weird spot in the list anyway.
Yeah, so what they're finding, though, is with the Splash Mountain announcement, because it will be changing, it will be converting to a different ride. Right. The Briar Patch store for Splash Mountain is normally so small that they didn't even have an electric queue for it. You just show up. But all of the cast and AP people are like mobbing it, trying to buy all of the Splash
merch.
They want the merch, so that way they can resell it on eBay or whatever. And because you don't need 70 Briar Rabbits, I mean, come on. But
that seems excessive.
They're bombarding the store, and it's one of the small ones that Disney didn't think that they had to have a queue for. Are you kidding me?
Right.
But
that's funny.
The Emporium, Big Top, all of those guys, they'll have strict entrance locations, exit locations. Not all doors are open to help with flow. That makes sense, but watch out for the Briar Patch.
Yeah, and that's a good rule of thumb anyway. Just watch out for the Briar Patch. That's funny.
We might not have to worry about too much longer, because they'll change the name, because they'll change the ride.
Right. So apparently, and this is only information that we've gleaned recently, apparently they've been developing or working on this concept for a year. Like they had already been considering, and so they said that they were already planning on doing this, and I personally think that this was a project that somebody was working on that they actually jumped on.
I think so too.
It was. I think it was just all of a sudden Iger walked in one day.
Yeah. With the civil unrest that's going on, and Black Lives Matter and racism coming to a head, and a lot of big companies trying to distance themselves from their past, this is just the next logical step for Disney to make, and that is taking away the theming of Splash Mountain, which, as most of you know, is based on Song of the South, which is a very, very racist movie. Even though it's problematic. Even though it's not, the racist parts aren't in the ride, the connotation and everything's still there. And so it's always kind of been a shadow over Disney, and they've decided to move forward with the retheming towards Princess and the Frog.
Right.
Which I am super okay for.
Me too. Obviously, everyone's gonna, everyone has the soundtrack stuck in their head for Splash Mountain, or maybe it's just us.
I mean, Zippity Doodah. That's
right. It's a wonderful thing, but honestly, I couldn't. I just can't imagine a better piece of Disney IP to replace it with. It feels like it just that show was missing a lot of stuff in the park. So it does, going back to that first thing where I'm like, I do think that it makes sense that I do think that they hadn't had this plan that they were going to do it in the next year. But I also think that somebody probably was working on it. I think it was one intern.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One or two people being like, okay, so we're going to figure this out. And now they're like, okay, we need to do this now. What do you guys have?
It was like something they were going to pitch Bob Iger, and now like he walked into the room and asked about it kind of thing.
I will say that when the announcement first came, I did have, some like, really? Is that what you're doing? Because I love Brer Rabbit, Brer Bear. I love the whole like.
Yeah,
I know. I grew up with it, but it's different than. And I had this conversation with my roommate. It's different than when they did the getting rid of the redhead in the Pirates of the Caribbean.
I knew we'd come back to the redhead.
Yes. Episode number 1. I want the redhead. Because there's a difference between, historical representation, which, with Disney is also rather wishy-washy.
Problematic.
But we're talking about cartoon animal characters. Can I really just be like, why aren't they representing Crystal, just get over it and let this beautiful princess with an amazing backstory and, the drive and desire, and it fits, just have her moment in the sun.
Right.
Let her have it. And so I was like, you know what? Yes, I am going to be pro Princess and the Frog, pro Tiana having a log flume.
Yeah. It's such a cool, I'm really actually kind of excited to see
me too
what that's gonna look like. It's a bummer. And I'm happy that I was able to ride it once as it was.
I haven't.
I know you haven't. And I suspect that probably won't happen in time, but
probably not.
Yeah,
depending on when they start the refurb.
Right, which I suspect they announced it really soon. They're like, do we have any concept art? Yeah, this guy did a watercolor. Perfect. And they just show it. Like, that's literally like, I feel like that they just were
it looks like the Thomas Kincaid stuff that you find in all of the little stores.
I think that like they maybe announced it way earlier than Disney ever normally does. But I honestly think that, they were cognizant of the situation. They know that Splash Mountain has some problematic stuff going on. It's mostly in its origin source material, not necessarily the ride itself, but still it makes sense that it's time. It's time, it's been around for, 20 years? Something like that?
Longer than
that?
Also, if you see me visually go away, I'm sorry. My phone decided to stop recording and I didn't know that.
Oh, that's
cool. So this is going to be fun for you, Ian, while editing.
Yeah, that'll be fine. I mean, I'll just put up like a generic photo of you next to me. It'll be fine.
Yes.
Yeah. That's fun. That's super fun.
It's okay for those 5 people that watch me.
Watch this. Yeah. Right. Now you can just go tune in and just see me, which is what nobody was looking for.
Oh my gosh.
Oh God.
Okay. Okay. Another thing that changed is I hate to say it, but our Disney College program has been discontinued until further notice. So the college students, those bright, young, shiny faces that you see regularly around the park as, ride operators, they're, in food, they're in retail, they're like most of the staff for Disney.
I know.
They are no longer going to be present.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a permanent thing or not.
It would be, to me, it seems like it would be unlikely for them to get rid of that permanently. But it does seem like, given the long-term nature of the out of controlness of this pandemic in the US, like it's going to be like at least until, because we're talking potentially about international stuff too. So like they're not going to want to be able to probably do it until they can get their international students back too. And nobody else wants to send anybody to us right now. Yeah.
I mean, we know a couple people who have been in the program, so we're kind of familiar with it. And literally they just have like, it's almost dorm rooms where they have 2 to 3 people shoved per room. And one apartment has like up to 10 bodies, and they're college students. So how much quarantining are they actually going to do? Right. I mean, I totally understand Disney being like, okay, I don't think it's worth the risk to bring these kids out here to be interacting with our guests.
Yeah, it's dangerous because and then you get it from one guest does something, they come through and they're asymptomatic. You get to one that contact tracing sounds like a flippin' nightmare. So
yeah. I mean, I've already heard that their housing as well is already just a cesspool. It's just a petri dish of every type of cold you can get. We're not going to talk about the hot tubs.
Resorts.
No,
let's move on to resorts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So of course they're going to limit that too. Obviously they're not, there's a lot of rooms on property. And so I think one of the easiest things they can do to limit availability is just to cut off all of the all-star resorts, which I get, but also it's kind of a bummer in some ways because now you're going to limit people who are on a budget.
Yeah,
a little bit. There are still a couple options
that's kind of elitist, but being okay, if you can afford, if you can afford the more expensive resorts, then maybe
you can come and stay.
But I understand it because of distance, location, how much they pack people in as well. You're going to have a lot more density in those all-star resorts versus a Yacht and Beach or a Poly or that sort of thing. Not to mention there are 3 or 4 resorts right now that are hosting the NBA.
Right. It's just terrible.
Those guys are their own thing, doing their NBA thing on Disney property, taking up valuable resort rooms from us guests.
Are they also doing so? They're doing all their stuff at ESPN then?
Yeah, the Wide World of Sports ESPN Center.
That makes sense.
Not the NBA experience, though, mind you.
Oh my!
We're not going to get into that disaster.
We're not going to get into that. No, we are not.
But there are. A lot more DVC resorts are open. So resorts that have a counterpart that's DVC. So we're talking the Contemporary, we're talking Wilderness Lodge, we're talking the Poly, we're talking Grand Floridian, Yacht, Beach, a lot of deluxe resorts, some moderates. Not French Quarter, but Riverside.
Okay,
those sorts
which
of
is
things.
Smaller, interestingly. Or no, bigger. Riverside's bigger, right?
Yes, French Quarter is
French Quarter is bitty. Okay. It's the funny thing is it's not itty bitty. If you walk through, you're this is actually pretty big. But then you compare it to
when you're looking at the footprint of other resorts,
compared to Riverside and stuff, it's real big.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Or is any
bigger.
of the All Stars any one unit of the All Stars is twice the size? It's crazy.
Yep.
But,
so, and that's ever changing. When we were talking about doing this episode just 2 days ago, at that point, they were saying no 2020 tickets at all. If you wanted to buy tickets, you had to buy for 2021.
2021. Yeah.
Now that has been reversed as of today, and you can get some tickets for 2020 for park tickets. So who's to say that these other resorts aren't going to slowly open up as well?
Right. It makes sense. And so, unsurprisingly, with all this, the Disney dining plan is not going to be available for probably the foreseeable future,
which makes
sense. Yeah, it is sad, but also you kind of get it because they're doing so much to change everything.
I get it, but I don't. So one thing that my brother and I have been discussing with all of the shutdowns, because he hasn't really been to Disney since
very young.
No, he's gone, but with an ex that really didn't let him experience Disney like you and I do. And so he only went for the Christmas event, and they didn't really get to experience a lot of Disney. And so he's been listening to more of our podcasts, and he's talked about wanting to go back and have the Disney experience. And I'm like, well, I would love to take you on the DDP, the Disney dining plan, because then when we go to food and wine, we can just use all of those snack credits, and it's going to make a lot more sense for us financially, because not only are they requiring that you have reservations for table service, which works hand in hand with the DDP, but we'll have a lot more budgeting, and we can pay for it all. And then when we're able to go, it'll all be done, and it's amazing.
I know it is a nice feeling. I know, because I did it again for the first time in a while when I went last. I'm like, oh, this is so nice.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you take advantage of it, and we do have episodes talking about the Disney dining plan and how to utilize it properly. Now, who knows if that's going to come back and or how it's going to work.
We were actually due for a new one, but probably not for a while now.
Yeah, we got to wait until we can get back to the parks to see what's available. But, you know, you have to. It is mandatory now that you have dining reservations for a table service restaurant.
Right.
And you can only make those reservations 60 days out in advance.
Right. So they've taken that time frame, which used to be 180, which was so far in advance, and they've now bumped it to like fast passes,
which I actually like, because that'll make getting some of the harder ticket dining reservations locked in, because trying to do like Cinderella's Royal Table was just a luck of the draw that I was able to do that one time. But, you know, trying to get Ohana has been hell for me to get a reservation on. So I feel like this is going to make it a little bit easier.
Now, apparently you can, you know, we're saying no walk-ups like physically, but you can like check for reservations like you previously were able to at any time. It's just that you literally just like can't walk up to the restaurant. Like you literally have to have a reservation to walk in.
Yep. You can't go up to the front desk and be like, hey, do you have any tables open? But, you know, you can call, you can use the online app, you can use your cell phone app, the My Disney Experience, and you can check it regularly just to see if there's an opening, and then take care of it. Do it up.
Right. And to be clear too, you have to have, like, and this has been true before, but it's even more important now. Since you have one park per day, you have to make your dining reservation in the same park that you have the reservation for, because you can't transfer back and forth for that.
No.
It's not a thing.
Unlike Park Hopper, where, you know, I was able to have, you know, breakfast in Magic Kingdom and then go to Hollywood Studios and eat at Brown Derby.
Which I love that so much.
We can't do that anymore.
Can't do it.
So through the park reservation, you have to stay in that park or corresponding restaurants in the surrounding areas. And you're also not able to do any resort hopping either, because the only way you're able to get onto a resort that you are not staying at is to have a dining reservation.
So you literally, like, it does for me, because I am a super resort hopper, get on the transport and go wherever and see as much as I can kind of person.
Yes.
And that to me was like, oh, like, I get why they did that, but also I'm like, oh, that kind of, for my Ian experience, that hinders a lot.
Yeah. So we're going to have to see how everything goes, because I love like being able to go over and before Magic Kingdom opens, have breakfast at Captain Cook's at the Polynesian, get my Tonga toast on, and then head over to the park, and then have like lunch over at a different resort, because I can take the bus or whatever and have lunch someplace else, and then bounce to another park, and just our Disney experiences are going to be different. That is for sure.
So it might be a while before we're able to park hop again and resort hop,
and
which
it's going to be a while before you and I go down. Anyways,
yeah. I am foreseeing that it for me will not be a thing until probably mid to late 2021. Is what it looks like at this point.
Yes. I mean, I'm looking at I want to go for their 50th. So that would be October 2021.
Yeah.
And they are currently taking reservations for restricted resorts through September 26th of 2021. So they are trying to intentionally block when people might show up for the 50th around that time. So I'm just going to wait for them to open it up and then pull the trigger.
Absolutely. Who knows that it's time.
I might go before then, but I've always been more of a last minute trip person, because I can go down more often due to my annual pass. And I don't have to, this isn't a once in a lifetime thing for me where I have to do this one e-ticket attraction. So I have to plan my entire trip around it.
We've talked about this before, where we've talked about a couple of times how our experience and relationship with the Walt Disney World property has changed a lot. even since we started doing the podcast, but before that, even when the multiple times we had been, it's become very. It went from being the awe-inspiring being in Magic Kingdom and seeing all the big stuff to also now there's like these kinds of, we talk about the little things, the small moments of magic that are the things that stand out to me now more so than
especially
the big stuff
during this lockdown time. Like the weirdest things get me verklempt.
I know, me too. That's been our big Scrabble word recently is verklempt with this stuff.
So like the other day I was watching a YouTube video and they were talking about the history of this one Imagineer, and he actually voices a lot. Well, he made the music for Main Street, which I'm sure we'll get into another video about, but he also voiced the announcement for the monorail. And when he said the Spanish part of the por favor, and like I like it like felt like a punch in the gut that we weren't there.
I know. I agree.
It's the smallest things.
The weird things will get you. Like little random, some background music, if I hear it, will get me a little bit, especially like Animal Kingdom's like Discovery Island stuff. For whatever reason, that one always gets me because it reminds me both of Discovery Island and it reminds me of Animal Kingdom Lodge, which is one of my favorite resorts.
Yeah, and then what was the first one that hit me? It was Remember Me, but it was done the credit music, but it reminded me all of a sudden of the Mexico Pavilion in Epcot, and like it felt like the park was saying remember me, though I have to say goodbye, and like the park, like the Mexico Pavilion was talking to me. Like
you guys we've been alone in our houses for a while.
Anyways, we're not going to get into how weird that is. We're going to close this out. Okay. This has been a long episode, but if you are planning on going to the parks, let us know what it's like, because, we are trapped at home and can only get information from outside sources. So we really appreciate hearing what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
Because we love it just as much as you do.
Yes, indeed.
So,
all right. Well,
this has been WD Carousel of Podcast. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And we hope you have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye, everybody.